Welcome back to episode 6 of Ark Survival Evolved Fjordur with the Primal Fear mod pack thrown in here. Today we are focusing on taming more higher tiers such as Apex. I wanted to get Fabled, but that ended up not working out. We want to explore more, figure out more of the map where dinos are, and as you know, this mod pack is very humbling, so we find out that just because our dinos are tough does not mean they are invincible, but I hope you enjoy. I found out that way quicker into this episode than I thought I would. I lost my level 150 Pterodon to a buffoon Ferox while I was trying to kill a parrot. I don't know what I was doing, but we returned home to start crafting all the narcotic and stuff that we're going to need. We turn all of that toxic into Apex narcotic, just to make things easier. I guess a little side quest of this episode is going to be base setup. I'd just continue moving stuff from my old base to the new one and setting up the farm and getting everything set up. But these large crop plots weren't as convenient as I thought they were going to be. I probably had to make it a little bit wider and bigger for them to be, useful. But we finally get the chemistry bench down. This was an absolute savior. I know you don't see it yet, but that chemistry bench is going to be real handy later in the episode. We then get the generator down to get the chemistry bench and fridge operational. They're going to be huge in this, obviously, but right after this, we get the fabricator down so that we can continue making the cables. I didn't bring enough. But we get our base located on the map. We've been needing it for a minute because I, again, suck at navigating. And then we finally start the more interesting part of this episode. I find a level 14 Thesiosaur that, while it's not great in terms of level, it should still be able to get plenty of wood for when I need it. And I'm just going to use an Argentavis once I get it to hold all of the weight. But, these Apex Strength Darts are nice. It knocks almost everything down in one hit. But this Carno is a genuine cock block. It does way more inconveniencing than just right here. But your boy cannot be riding around in a Volkswagen Bug forever, so he tries to upgrade to a Sentra. A little bit of an upgrade, but nothing crazy. But, you kind of got to hit him to knock him out. But we do end up hitting him. That's not an issue. It's just not on the first attempt. Or the second one, but the third is always the try. But we get him down. But this Carno, like I said, he's just an inconvenience. We try to kite him away. He gets on us for a second, and then whips his ass right back around for a little free snack. But we do end up dealing with him pretty easy. It's just a regular Carno, and it was a low level. It just ended up hurting the taming effectiveness a decent bit. Unfortunately, though, while we were dealing with all of that mess, our Thesiosaur tamed up without us looking at him. This is kind of a theme in this world. I'm sorry, I do really try to show it, but it just ends up not happening. So we throw this guy into a cryopod right quick, get the second one set up for the Pterodon once he's up. And here are his stats. Nothing crazy, but they are definitely going to work for us. Speaking of going to work for us, we have our final Pterodon. The final Pterodon we're ever going to tame. Just kidding, I'm not going to lie to you like that. But we end up finding this Apex Deinonychus on our way back. I thought it was an Alpha Deinonychus, so I knock it out, run over to it because I want its eggs. And then I realize it's an Apex, so then I just kind of deal with the situation the best I can. But we finally end up making the cables for the generator that we needed. I just don't show me setting it up because it's ugly. But we make the Thesiosaur saddle. That I cannot mess up. But then as soon as I make that, I realize I don't have enough hide for an Alpha Pterodon saddle. So I start flying back to my base to grab everything from my base that I had left and just throw it on the Pterodon and have him follow my regular one to my new base. This is just the way I'm going to play for a little bit, just until I can get the hide for the Alpha Pterodon saddle. But we find something really interesting on our way back with everything from our old base. I really want this level 140 Argentavis, so I head home and I just start dumping everything onto my Pterodon until he's quite literally won't move. He cannot accept any more weight. So I bring some kibble with me and I start out to try to tame that RG. And of course, like a true Ark pro, I am able to get it done. I kite him away from all of the dangerous animals and knock him out in one hit with the Apex Strength Darts. These things are genuinely starting to be my favorite thing, and I'm excited to get the even higher tiers of tranquilizers. But we throw the kibble into this guy's inventory and kind of just wait for him to tame, or at least that's how it should have been and how I wanted it to go. We end up seeing this Apex Sabertooth in our way. But we just kind of knock him out and just let our Pterodon go to town on him. I don't really show it because it's kind of graphic, but I'm sure you can get the idea by just this. But when life gets taken from this world, new life gets put into it. This Alpha Argentavis is finally ours, but we run into this toxic saber-tooth on our way back. We were just trying to test out the RG's weight capabilities with some crystal and obsidian, nothing crazy. We officially make it back to this base safe and sound. I wish I had some cryopods with me, but I think I forgot them. But that's okay. We'll just survive. That's okay. And then I saw this weird glitch with my forges. I don't know if it's just because they're running off electricity, but they don't light on fire when I light them on fire. It's kind of strange. But we fly back to our old base to get Alpha hide because, like I said, we need that for the Pterodon saddle. And then we just use our base because it's a lot easier to kill higher ranking dinos. I seldomly show myself killing dinos just because it's very tedious and you guys just want to see what I craft with it, but I got an Ascendant Pump Shotgun and an Ascendant Bow from that guy. It was kind of insane. And then right after that, we head back to our base to craft the Alpha Pterodon saddle that we've been working so hard for, and then see just how much more work we need for our RG saddle. Feels like work in ARC just never ends. Then just like that, we are back on our dino, ready to head back to our base. We got everything loaded up, except for the fertilizer that we soon come to learn, but we just come back for it. It's not that big of a deal. Dino poop works for a good bit of time, especially when you have so many. But once again, we're just killing dinos for the alpha hide, because we come to realize we need it for the RG saddle, like I said. Once we're back though, we start choosing violence, and this is where I said the chemistry bench comes in. We start crafting an absolute butt ton of gunpowder so we can start turning that into simple rifle ammo for tranq darts, and then shotgun shells for our new toy that we just got from that Dilophosaur. We then set up our ring lights so that we can actually have light in this place. I don't set them up on the left side yet just because I don't need them, but we just continue to set up our greenhouse right after, and we see a dragon. And I'm not about to let all of the progress that we have made die in 10 seconds. So we placed down a metal dino gate to seal off our base from anything from the outside getting to where our dinos are. And that's all I really care about. Now, when I tell you placing down cables and water pipes in ARC are they're just inconvenient. You have to put them in places, and then you have to like work around them, and then you have to twist and turn them, and then yeah. So you just kind of get it to where it works, and that has always been my logic. And this works. All of my crop plots currently are irrigated, and we just continue to set them up with fertilizer, seed them to get all of this going. But like I said, this is where we realize we don't have any fertilizer, so we just start picking up dino poop to throw in there and get everything going. And when morning struck, we decided to go out and explore to continue looking for tames. I find a corrupted alpha spino that I just sit on the back of my, pterodon and farm. And finally get some corrupted nodules? Nodule? I don't know how to pronounce it, but those are just used to corrupt dinos. I don't think we'll end up doing it, but we just continue to grab a bunch of crystal and mushrooms because we need a bunch of mushrooms to craft a bunch of the, higher tiered narcotic. Yoink. But that will definitely be helpful, so I've just been running around grabbing all of the crystal I absolutely can, mainly for the rare mushrooms. I don't even really need crystal anymore. Yoink! We finally find an Apex Argentavis that the only reason we're taming this one for is for eggs. I know RGs drop eggs. I don't know if they're the most efficient, but I'm kind of just running around looking for any Apex dino that I can, tame easily and knock out, all of that good stuff. But like I always do, we just clear out the area, kite anything away, and one shot, one down. And with the power of editing, this Argentavis is ours. It's kind of a piece of shit, but like I said, we only want it for eggs. But this Maulwing saddle I got was kind of cool. I just wanted to show you guys it. Flex a little bit because I'm rich. But this is the coolest tame of the episode, and I'm sure you guys have been looking for when I got this thing since our intro. But this Rudolf, while it might be a really low level, is still an incredible movement tame. It even does a good bit of damage. I'm not really that scared to ride around with it, but this guy is actually so cool and so cheap to tame, so it only made sense for me to get a little Santa Claus guy. Makes me happy. He'll light my way through the dark ARC nights. Quickly yoink a snow owl while we're here, and absolutely crap my pants the moment I see a level 1000 ice titan chilling in a mountain right next to where I tamed that snow owl. But this defense unit is nowhere near the, threat of that ice titan. So we just, we just kill it real quick and then pick up our first fabled egg that we found. The Bronto wasn't exactly excited that I took his egg, and the fabled dinos being so quick is scary. Yoink! But we got it, and that's all that matters. Unfortunately, we need two to make any sort of kibble. Then we get home and throw these guys down, and I don't quite think about the order in which I throw them down. I should have put my Apex RG down first, not last, because of cryo sickness. I knew it was a thing. I didn't really care. I was like, just get them down. I'll mess with them later. I'm not in any rush. Until I realized that an Apex RG has 8,000 torpor, and I have to sit here and wait for it to just drain. There's nothing I can do to speed it up. I just have to sit here and wait. And he won't produce eggs while he's sleeping, so he's basically useless for now. That is not the only unfortunate thing to happen. This series of events is crazy. I land with my dino to try to pick up cementing paste, and then a random boss comes out of nowhere and just starts ganking me. He doesn't end up killing my pterodon. He is not the one that ends up doing that. I end up running to my stuff, though, just in time to see what ends up killing my pterodon. I know it's a little bit of a spoiler since, we're not quite there in the video yet, but 910 damage up until the time I was able to get there. I might have been able to get him if I didn't get stuck there, but look, right as I whistle, he just dies. He just dies. We didn't even have the pterodon for that long, and my reaction here just says it all. Right after our moment of silence, though, we end up picking up our stuff and getting everything back to where it needs to be. But I do unfortunately realize I, A, don't have a bed at my new base, and B, don't have a flyer to get back to my new base. So I'm basically just sat here stuck with an alpha pterodon saddle that I cannot use because there's A, no alpha pterodons around me, and B, no kibble. So I just tame up a regular one and fly back to my base, and then, make a bunch of saddles for my flyers so that if this ever happens again, I can just pick one of them and go get my stuff. At least that would be the case if I ever crafted a bed. I somehow forgot that, and it just ends up biting me in the butt in a little bit. But getting these saddles on does give me a little bit of a moment of relief. Speaking of relief, though, we try to make better armored so that we don't die as often, but it also doesn't work against torpor. So we gotta, keep that in mind. We do end up making the ammo, though, so we're able to use our new shotgun and just kind of get some rage out, if you will. And this is what I was talking about, that Rudolf is an incredible movement flyer. His right-click ability just starts sending him flying for 5-6 seconds. And it doesn't even use that much stamina. But we rush over to our base and grab all of the fertilizer that I had left. Like I said, we forgot it, but we pick up all of it, basically just get rid of that farm. And then I see this really interesting dino. It's a flying whale that apparently can warp through space. I want to try to tame it, except you need a cannon for it, and that's a little bit scary, and I don't know how many it would take, but I'm on the fence about taming it. I just kind of have to see what the saddle entails. Then we return back and start, crafting more and more and more taming stuff, because, we're just going to need a bunch of it. But we finally let our dodos attack something. So a toxic dodo spawned in my base and started attacking my door, so I just let them loose. And then, like I was saying, those large crop plots weren't very optimal, so I made a few medium ones to stuff in the corners, just so we can use all the space that we got and continue crafting a bunch of crops. We set our eyes on the island we haven't touched yet, though. I figure with Rudolf, since we're so much quicker than everything, it'll be a lot easier, but stupidity does not, factor in there. I start having a little fun, just killing some little mantises and all that, and I somehow don't see this goddamn tarantula on the ground. I tried to turn around the moment I see it. I saw it right when I hopped off, but it just didn't matter. And Rudolf was set to passive, so his ass wasn't helping me whatsoever. He even starts running off here in just a second. I was kind of offended by it. So we just tame up a new pterodon after we kill ourselves. This was a representation of how I felt in this very moment. But that's okay, we all feel that way sometimes. Like I said, tame up a new pterodon, head back, and try to find our stuff. We succeed. It takes a long time, longer than I thought it would. I was honestly surprised that our stuff was still here. So we get our little bit of revenge after we get stuck on a bunch of shit and get all of our stuff back. I then finally learned from my lesson and place a few beds down. I just placed 4 beds all in the same spot so it takes up less space, and it doesn't really matter. If I can do it, why not? So we do that and find out that snow owl poop is incredibly good for fertilizer. I had no idea. Oh, I completely forgot to put this into the video, but a bat destroyed my stuff and kind of made me have to repair my greenhouse. But with that, that will end the episode. I do appreciate you all for watching. I hope you did enjoy. If you did, like and subscribe. It helps me out a ton and lets me know you guys are enjoying it. But I hope you have a great rest of your day.